Alrighty. Is everybody here? Let me just make sure everything is good everywhere. We're good on YouTube. We're good on Twitch. We're good on Kick. How's everyone doing today? I'll give it a few more seconds just so people can come in. But as per usual, the first thing we're going to do for this Day 0 preview show is go over the Banzuke game, where I got nearly dead last again. But can you blame me? I mean, come on, I was close on a lot. Then we'll play some Kachi Clash, which I haven't done my picks just yet, but it's a clean board, no injuries. The Yokozuna is back. We'll go over a little bit of news. We will, on the Twitch side, we'll watch a bunch of videos and go over, especially cool news about how KIRYUKO saved a life. And then after that, like I said, for the Twitch side, because I don't want to replay, someone else's video on the YouTube side and get banned on YouTube, we can do that on Twitch. So we'll be watching some training videos on the Twitch side. Let me get some water. And let's get ready to go. Basho is beginning tomorrow, and with that, I do have some bad news. Congo will only be joining us for day 1 because he will be traveling, so we're not going to see him again until May. He will be gone for this tournament. He will only be available for day 1, which is tomorrow. And then in March, that is when he will be in Japan, hopefully attending a sumo tournament. So hopefully we could see him in the crowd and say hi. Let's see, what else is there to cover? We also are, did I set up Nightbot for the YouTube side? Let me see. We are also working on some, it looks like the Nightbot is not working. Oh, there it is. We're also working on some merchandise. So we don't have any merchandise just yet, but we are planning on some, and I would appreciate it if you are interested in buying merchandise, if you would take the survey that is in the chat, and we can get right to it. We'll see what people would like to buy. We'll try to address it accordingly, and get that ready for hopefully the next tournament. Let me also not forget to fix one more thing, and then we will be ready to go for this little preview show. I have to fix something on Twitch, which is something I always have to remember. HATSU BASHO 2020. Let's see. Kirishima. Alrighty. And now everything should be good to go. So welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us over here. I hope everyone had a great holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, everything else in between. We had a pretty good time. Christmas was nice. Princess got sick. We also have another announcement, which we'll probably do a little more for later, when we have a lot more people in chat. But my fiance is pregnant. We're expecting for July, the middle of July, right in the middle of the Basho. So hopefully that baby comes in the afternoon. I don't want to miss any sumo. No, Tochinoshin is not returning. That's not the special announcement. But yeah, that is all we have. So let's get into it. The Banzuke. Guess the Banzuke. I did terrible this time with only 46 points, which is crazy considering in a lot of other scenarios 46 points would get you top half. But this person Nearly had a perfect Banzuke. 40 correct guesses. 42 on these guys, but a lot of them weren't spot on, and that's kind of where it does go. We'll see here, Terunofuji Kirishima, Hoshoryu leapfrogs Takakeisho, that was expected. And then going down into the Sekiwake, let's see, it was Kotonowaka leapfrogging Daisho, which I kind of knew, and I should have expected that, but, we lost 2 points right there. Takayasu Ura, making his debut, is as a Komusubi, so great for him. Wakamoto Haru and Atami Fuji are at Maegashira 1. I expected Atami Fuji to leapfrog him, but not so kind was the Sumo Association. Then Midori Fuji, Maegashira 2. Next to Abi. Gonoyama, a little snubbed right there. Gonoyama coming off the back of his 8 and 7, but they do have Abi ahead of him. Abi only coming down with a 6 and 9 from Komusubi. So that kind of reinforces what I was saying when we made the Banzuke, that usually they are easier on the guys who have losing records in the Sanyaku ranks. That's just things. Then Maegashira 3, Hokuto Fuji. I had him fall to Maegashira 5 because he had a 5 and 10 from Komusubi, but he only falls 3 ranks. I think that's a little crazy. They really did him easy. But I also did have written here, Gonoyama, Abi, coin flip. So, I could have had that one right. Tobizaru and Shodai both occupy Maegashira 4. I just got the sides wrong. That's how it goes. Then Ryuden is down to Maegashira 5, not up to Maegashira 3. I thought Ryuden was going to get a bigger nod because 10 and 5 from Maegashira 10 is not bad. But, really went easy on Hokuto Fuji. After that, Nishikigi occupying Maegashira 5. We called that correctly after his, his 7 and 8 from Maegashira 4. After that, Keen Bozan occupying Maegashira 6 alongside Shonan no Umi, who I had at Maegashira 7. So, again, a little bit easier on the guys who were losing from higher up. Shonan no Umi was a 7 and 8 from Maegashira 6. They move him over 1/2 of a rank instead of fully demote him, which is fair. Because then Ichi Yamamoto is right down at Maegashira 7, which I had him at Maegashira 6. Wasn't too far off. With Asanoyama right next to him. I had Takeyumi coming up to Maegashira 7, but he actually comes down to Maegashira 9, so I was way off on that guess. Hokuseiho, I had him in Maegashira 8. That is where he fell. Asanoyama, I guessed him half off, but you don't get a point for the diagonal half off. Hirado Umi, I had him at Maegashira 9, but he moves up to Maegashira 8, leapfrogging Takeyumi and Meisei, which, if we want to look at their stats over here, Hirado Umi, where was he? 9 and 6, leapfrogging the 8 and 7 Takeyumi. Probably should have seen that coming, so I'll try to keep that in mind for the next Banzuke. And of course, Meisei also occupying Maegashira 9. I had him on the other side. Then we have a little break. I guessed correctly. Tamawashi, Sadano Umi, Tsurugisho, Oho. Thank you for the subscription. What's up? And we do have a couple other people that subscribed. That was Mississippi Cajun, Caffeine Bill, Circumzenithal. After this, Takanosho, I had him on the other side of Maegashira 12. Takanosho had a rough score, out for injury with that 5 and 10. Only fell to Maegashira 12, which they gave him half of a rank. Myogiryu, I had him at Maegashira 13. We missed by a half again. Kaiser, thank you for your subscription as well. Then, at Maegashira 13, we got Endo correctly, but Myogiryu was supposed to be next to him. Churano Umi was actually, I guessed him a little bit higher than that. So, I was kinder to Churano Umi than the Banzuke. Then, again, we got Koto Shoho and Onosho correct, but on the opposite sides of the Banzuke. Tomokaze, we got correct. Shimazu Umi and Aoyama, we got correct. But then, with these guys who were just promoted, Bushozan, Ono Sato, I got them in the incorrect spots. Bushozan only off by half. Ono Sato, I had rank lower, but Ono Sato actually leapfrogged over Bushozan. And then Takeda Fuji occupying Maegashira 16 when I had him at 15 West. Thank you for another subscription, Killy Dude. So, my Banzuke, it wasn't that far off, but you don't get points for the Maegashira 6 West to 7 East half off kind of thing. There are other quirks of the Banzuke, such as the promotion of Ono Sato and Shimazu Umi. Ono Sato making his debut after just 4 tournaments. One of the new Reiwa monsters debuting at Maegashira 15, still has his slicked back hair. That'll be something to look out for. Shimazu Umi making his debut at 27 years old after his 12-year-long career. He started sumo all the way back in 2012 and has finally made it to the top division. He had an injury back in 2019, finally debuted in March of 2022, and took another full year to marinate in that second division before finally breaking the glass ceiling into this top division. Other notable things are the change of Shirokuma's name. Formerly known as Takahashi, Shirokuma, meaning polar bear, is his new Shikona. After 2 straight 8 and 7s, who knows if this new name will change his luck a little bit. But, I mean, winning records are winning records. After that, we also have the debuts of TERUNOFUJI and Osho Umi. TERUNOFUJI coming off of that 6-1, going above and beyond for his promotion. He has still never lost more than 2 matches in a single tournament in his just over a year of sumo. So let's see how many losses he takes in the next tournament. Alongside Osho Umi, who is 22 years old, started his career back in July of 2020. Out for injury from, January of 2022 for half of a year. After getting his winning record in Jonidan, he dipped probably to, keep nursing that injury. Came back to Sandamne with that 7-0 Yusho, and then has not had a losing record since his injury. And I guess if you want to count tournaments where he was uninjured, he has never had a losing record. So it's definitely his health holding him back right now. Imagine if he didn't have this injury from Makushita 33. Imagine if he didn't have this injury from Makushita 7. He was so close. But now, finally, coming back from these injuries, gets his debut. We'll see how he does. Another important thing to note, HAKUOHO is coming back. HAKUOHO will be competing. He is recovered from his shoulder surgery, and he will be competing across from the likes of KIRYUKO, who has a special place in the news today. So, as it turns out, KIRYUKO and his brother Shunrai, which I didn't know they were brothers, so that's pretty cool. KIRYUKO and his brother had went to a public bathhouse, noticed an elderly man lying in the water, and slowly sink into the water, where KIRYUKO took action, pulled him out, resuscitated him using CPR, and saved the 87-year-old man's life. This is the face of a lifesaver, and the face of the man that is going to be going toe-to-toe with HAKUOHO, probably on day 1. So, nice to see KIRYUKO get a nod like that. Nice to see him, saving a life. Glad that he was there, right place, right time, and knew exactly what to do. Thank goodness for that. So, I mean, I've never been in a situation where I've had to save someone's life, so I can't imagine what it's like. In the moment, you got to keep your head calm and cool, and that is exactly what he did. Good for him. Let's see if there are other notable things on the Banzuke. We didn't make a Young Guns video for this tournament because I was very busy with other things. We were moving. We went home to visit family for Christmas, so we've been pretty busy lately. I haven't had the chance to go over some of these young guys that we're looking out for. Wakataka Kage is also occupying Makushita 1 West. All he needs is a winning record to get back up there. We do have Kaio, 24 years old, also occupying Makushita 1. His 6-1 was not enough from Makushita 6 to get him the promotion, but he's one step away, just needs that 4-3. Let's see if there are any other names. Azumaru, Intai. I'm pretty sure he announced that during the previous tournament. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember when he announced his retirement, but After a long and illustrious career, Azumaru, illustrious, a little bit of an exaggeration, but he was a Judo mainstay, long-time mainstay in Judo, won a Yusho down there, finally got his first career Kachi Koshi in 2023 in the top division, and career high of Maegashira 11. That's nothing to scoff at, definitely. Not as good of a career as you would like to see, but as someone who went through his entire career almost injury-free. You see, he had one injury back in 2014. He was out for a COVID absence back in 2020. This is a good career to have. Long time in Judo, notable man on the Banzuke. It's going to be sad to see him go, but it is what it is. We'll wish him luck in his future endeavors. Let's see some other interesting names down here. A couple of promotions up from those lower divisions. Anosho is a name I recognize. Nishida is as well. Oka is 30 years old. We'll skip him. Anosho, 18 years old. He is currently on a tear. Look at that. 7-0 Yusho, 7-0 Yusho, 5-2. Makes his debut in Makushita. Let's see how he does. And we have 19-year-old Nishida making his debut after a 6-1. So good luck to him as well. Let's see. Oyamada, 24 years old, coming out of Naruto stable, making his debut in the 3rd division after a 5-2 from Sandamne 23. Good luck to him. Looks like he hasn't stumbled too much. Only one losing record to his name, but a lot of 4-3s is going to make the climb slow. And of course, Nagamura, who is 19 years old as well. We have a lot of young guns that we need to look out for coming up this Banzuke. Going down to that 4th division, let's see. Shiroma, 23 years old. Interesting start to his career. Started off Banzuke Gai in March, where there was no Maizumo done in March of 2023. Placed on the Banzuke, but out for injury. He had to redo his Maizumo matches, and then he comes back, he's undefeated. 23 years old, out of Nihon University, making his debut in the 4th division, high 4th division. Look out for him to make a splash. Let's see, we also have a couple other names. Ryutsu Kasa, 26 years old. That's a little too old. That's not who I was looking for. Rinko, 17 years old. One of the twins, Hayashiryu, his twin, makes it to a new career high. Sandamne 27. Let's hope Rinko can move on up. Whereas, let me look for Hayashiryu. Hayashiryu occupies Jonidan. Hayashiryu still a little far away from his brother. Let's see. Who else do we have? Soma. 19 years old for him. He has one losing record at the top of Jonidan, but after that, 6-1. Should be good to look out for Soma. Dairinzan, 20 years old, has been in sumo for a little over a year, but coming off of a Jonidan Yusho, gonna get his feet wet in the 4th division. Let's see, Ikazuchido. This is a notable one, 18 years old. Ikazuchido, 29, Sandamne 29 or 69, new career high for him. He is not new to this 4th division, but he is someone that a lot of people like to look out for because he is one of the very few black Rikishi to exist. I'm pretty sure he's half Nigerian. That's what I've been told. I've never fact-checked it myself, but Ikazuchido making his way a little bit up the Banzuke. Thank you for the sub, Koolator. Kazeyuki also making his debut, 19 years old, off the back of a 5-2. We have a lot of these young guys pushing far up. Aonishiki, our new Ukrainian, debut Jonidan 10 East. Another 7-0 would put him very high in the 4th division. Very high hopes for this 19-year-old Danilo. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, but I can pronounce Dan. Danilo from the Ukraine. Coming off the back of his 7-0 Yusho from Jonokuchi. That's another one to be excited for. Ayashiri, we already went over him, the twin. Let's see, I know there are a couple of other notable guys down here. Sachinofuji, 17 years old, coming off the back of a 6-1 to a new career high. Should be pretty interesting to see him. Ubu, that's an interesting name. He's 25. Sometimes you just find some interesting names. Whose name is 24 years old, hasn't made it out of Jonidan. But yeah, that is the look of the Banzuke. Couple of new guys down at the bottom here too, making their debuts. Let's actually take a look at some of these new Jonokuchi guys. 18 years old. 18 years old. 23 years old from Mongolia for Oshima Stable. Good luck to him. And another 18-year-old. So not probably a couple of guys coming out of college. We also have a couple of guys, Banzuke guy, which means they are not written on the Banzuke due to being absent, probably due to injury. And then again, a couple of Shikona changes, retired Rikishi, and that is it for the Banzuke. As for who we think will be winning in the top division, well, that's why we play Gachi Clash. So, this is where it's going to get fun. This is where it's going to get interesting. Let me open up my water. Papayasu back to Komusubi. To answer your question, Poetic Wine, sorry I don't really read the chat when I get into a groove. But the top four, Terunofuji makes his return. Still dealing with back issues though. So I don't know how confident I am in Terunofuji to even finish the 15 days, let alone get a winning record. I'm not going to vote for him. Kirishima, coming off of the back of a 13-2, and it was a super solid tournament for him. It's hard to say if he won't get another Yusho. Like, after such a great performance, it's hard to justify saying like, nah, he's not going to get it. I think he has a better chance than Takakesho ever has of getting Yokozuna. I'll show you across from him. Let me actually reopen the Banzuke so we could take a look at the previous. Oh, right. The schedule is out too. We'll go over that after Gachi Clash. So let's go back to not the HATSU Banzuke, the Kyushu Banzuke. So Hoshoryu 10-5. He started off pretty strong, but dropped a few in the middle, even losing to Atami Fuji and Takakesho. Finished with his own winning record, so that was good for him. Hoshoryu, I don't know if he would be my pick here. I like him a lot. He is probably my favorite out of everyone in the top four, but he is inconsistent. And what we've seen from the last tournament is that he does kind of get into his own head. That 80-second stare down probably did worse for him than anything else. Like, he should have probably just started the match, but trying to win that mental battle, trying to, dare I say, feed his ego. I'm not going to try to call him an egomaniac or anything like that, but that's not something he should be doing. And even though he won that match, he lost to Takayasu, lost to Nishikigi, lost to Kotonowaka. So directly after this stare down, he would lose 3 of his next 4 matches. So I want to say he needs to be humbled a little bit more before he really hits that next gear. Well, I'm sorry I can't give you your goodnight kisses, princess. Takakesho, you don't know if he's going to go 13-2 or 2-13. My vote is for the obvious, Kirishima. Not going to say much else about Takakesho. Once again, disappointing. He did have a 9-6, which is a winning record, but I mean, when you're vying for Yokozuna, it's not good enough, nowhere near good enough. The next section, Kotonowaka, Daieisho, Takayasu, and Uda. Now, I will admit, I never expected Uda to even sniff the Sanyaku ranks, but here he is as a Komusubi. I like him, he's cool, he's fun, he's not my favorite in this section. Takayasu, he's gonna be one of the fan favorites, definitely. Takayasu coming back. The last time he made it this high, too, he was on another Ozeki push. Like, realistically, Takayasu could have pushed for Ozeki the last time he was this high. 11-4 Junyusho, 12-3 playoff loss. He was there at Sekiwake, but then injured. After that tournament, okay, 10-5. Injured. Comes back 7-8. Is this the end of Takayasu? I don't know. 10-5, 10-5. I believe he can get another 10-5, maybe even 11-4 right here. Honestly, I think Takayasu can get a double-digit win rate, and I would bet on him if it wasn't for someone else in this section. You probably know who it is. Daisho, another man of inconsistency. Daisho, you know, I like him. I want him to succeed, but he was so close. 10-5, 12-3. He just needed 11 wins. He even got a Fusencho to help him, but he couldn't get it to Ozeki, and I don't think he ever will make it to Ozeki. Now, similar to Takakeisho, he is like coin flippy on the day-to-day basis. I don't bet on him to get more than 10 wins. Will he get 10 wins? Likely. Over-under is definitely 10.5, and I would bet the under. Especially if you look at the past 4 tournaments. And now, this brings me to my favorite Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka, 26 years old, made it to Sekiwake after a strong 11-4, stumbled with a 9-6, but even then, it's still great. Comes back 11-4 Junyusho, and he's not winning against bad opponents either. He's winning against Takakeisho, he's winning against Hoshoryu, he's winning against Daisho, loses in a tricky match to Uda, loses the strong straight-up chest-to-chest against Shodai, which you should never underestimate Shodai, loses to Kirishima, the eventual Yusho winner, and then this one I'll give him fault, losing to Ryuden. That's whatever. But Kotonowaka, he's young, he's strong, he's unique, he's cool, I like him, I'm voting for him. Kotonowaka is my pick, and right now we have Kirishima Kotonowaka as who I'm betting on. Now, you know I'm betting on Tobizaru here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm betting on Tobizaru. But we can talk about everyone else up here. Wakamoto Haru finally falls from Sekiwake. I knew it was coming. I was hoping for him to make it. But, you know, one of the compliments I gave him when he was on an Ozeki push was that I think he has the strongest fundamentals of a lot of these guys up here. That's what carries you through a lot of tricky situations, is relying on the basics, relying on the fundamentals. But there's no second level for Wakamoto. There's no X factor for him. And once he got figured out, once he finally, started showing signs of wear and tear, fell from Sekiwake, I wouldn't pick him here. Atamifuji, the new hotness, I would 100% go with him if Tobizaru wasn't his competition here. Atamifuji, it's wild too, because at the time of his debut in the top division, I was excited for it, a little over a year ago. I was excited. Ooh, Atamifuji finally made it up. Let's see what he can do. And then he went 4-11. It's like, okay. Next tournament, out for injury. Okay, maybe he had that injury for a little while. That's why he did some bad. And then 8-7. Okay. 13-2 blew me out of the water. And that's not even the Yusho. That's not even a Jun Yusho 13-2. What the hell went on this Banzuke in Judio? It was a Gonoyama 14-1 versus the Ochiai 14-1. So he doesn't even get Jun Yusho honors with a 13-2. But still, it's like, okay. That comes out of seemingly nowhere. That comes out. Where the hell did that come from? Where was this Atamifuji a year ago? He was growing. He was getting stronger. He was marinating in that Judio soup. Comes back up. Okay, 11-4 Yusho. Not out of the ordinary for a Judio one to win the Yusho. Not out of the ordinary for the Yusho to be 11-4. Good score for him. Comes back up. 11-4 playoff loss to Yokozuna hopeful Takakeisho. Of course, he did have a difficult schedule by the end of it. Daieisho, Takakeisho. He beat Abi, and that was the great thing about that match against Abi. Abi henka'd him, and he beat the henka. He beat Abi and put some hope back into, back under his wings. Of course, loses to Asanoyama, so it does go to show that when it comes to fighting against these top guys, he still has a lot to learn. But he's dominating everyone around him. He beat Tobizaru, beat Takayasu, beat Kinbozan, beat Aoyama, beat Mitakayumi, beat Chiyoshima. So this kid came out of nowhere with that 11-4 playoff loss. And then at the last tournament, he beats everyone around him. Okay, let's start having him fight stronger guys. He beats Onosho. He beats Shonan no Umi. He beats Hoshoryu. They had him fight Hoshoryu, and he beats the Ozeki. Now he's for real. He beats Takayasu. And then he loses to Kirishima. And he loses to Kotonowaka. But Kirishima, 13-2 Yusho winner. Kotonowaka, another monster of this Reiwa era. Like, you can't fault him for it, I don't think. That was also his first time fighting either of those guys. So I'm so high on Atami Fuji. He is hot right now. I'm buying Atami Fuji stocks. I would vote for Atami Fuji. Midori Fuji, he's a fan favorite. I don't particularly believe in Midori Fuji. Sure, that 10-5 where he started off 10-0 from Maegashira 5 was great, but I knew he was going to collapse. I was hoping he wouldn't, but I knew it. And then he does the opposite back in September, where he starts off poorly and then finishes with 8 straight wins. So that's cool. Very streaky. You don't want to be streaky, you want to be consistent. 9-6 at the last tournament from Maegashira 5. I like him, he's cool, but I wouldn't put my money on him compared to Atami Fuji. Abi, I'm not going to say too much about Abi. He's a controversial subject on his own. But I don't like the Oshizumo. I don't like betting on the Oshizumo in the first place. So I wouldn't go Abi here. Gonoyama, another good candidate, I think. Gonoyama, he's young, 25 years old out of Chuo University. He has not had a losing record in a year. And he has not had a losing record since his debut in the top division. Came off hot with that 10-5. We were thinking, like, could he be one of the first to ever, Yusho, Judio, and the top division back to back? But that fell apart a little bit in the middle right there. And he's been consistent, 9-6, 8-7 with a little bit of help from that Fu Sensho. But Maegashira 3, if he wasn't already battle tested at this point, he fought and lost against Abi, Daieisho, Shodai, Hoshoryu, but he did beat Kirishima and Takakeisho. He did beat Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. He did beat former Komusubi Tobizaru. He did beat Komusubi Hokuto Fuji. He lost to Uda. So, Gonoyama, it's tricky because he still does have a lot to learn about some of these guys. Usually, when you are in this Maegashira 4 position, you don't get a winning record, especially if it's your first time up there. It is also true he crushed HAKUOHO for the Judio W. And honestly, I think this is where the gravy train ends for Gonoyama. If it's not here, then it's probably the next tournament. But I would not bet on him to get a winning record. Maybe a 6-9, maybe a 7-8. I think an 8-7 would require a little bit of luck, like you can kind of see with that little square. Hokuto Fuji. I was never really high on Hokuto Fuji. I stopped buying into Hokuto Fuji. He did well a couple tournaments ago, but before and after that, he was always inconsistent. I don't particularly like Hokuto Fuji. I mean, I don't dislike any sumo wrestler except for like Ryuden, but he's not my favorite. Hokuto Fuji is cool. His new style was unique and interesting. But much like what happened to Aoyama, where Aoyama adapted a new style, and this was recently, this was like 2 years ago, Aoyama adapted a new style himself. He started winning with it, but then it got figured out. So HAKUOHO is in the you got figured out stage, and I'm thinking he's gonna fall. Tobizaru, my man, I want him to get back up. I want him to make it to Sekiwake one of these days, but he's a luck-based sumo wrestler. He made it to Komusubi, over a year ago. He's been back up there a couple of times. He has a Kinboshi against Terunofuji. Is he gonna get another Kinboshi? Is he gonna get another Kinboshi? I hope so. That'd be cool. But if you're anybody else, don't bet on Tobizaru. But he's my man, so I'm gonna bet on him. I would expect Tobizaru to luck his way into a winning record, trick his way into a winning record. He's not gonna henka. That's not the kind of trick he does. It's just his sumo is interesting. His sumo is not concrete. He's a very go with the flow type of guy. And that's why I like him so much. But that doesn't make him, a fantastic sumo wrestler. It's not going to make him consistent enough to stay at Komusubi even. So I wouldn't bet on him if you're betting money. I bet on him because he's my favorite. Shodai. Kongo loves to believe in Shodai. I think the era of Shodai is over. 6'9", 6'9", 8'7" to get back up one rank. 6'9", he's still difficult to deal with. Kongo is not wrong about that. Shodai is always going to be a difficult match, but I think he's just lost a step. He's gotten a little bit slower. He isn't as strong as he used to be. Ozeki Shodai was fine, but, we are a couple years removed from Ozeki Shodai now. I think the wear and tear is finally coming in. I wouldn't bet on Shodai. Ryuden, I don't really care for him. I think being at Maegashira 5 means he's probably going to be fighting people lower on the Banzuke than him, which means he could get another good winning record. It all depends, but, last tournament he even beat Kotonowaka, and that was really his only test, was Kotonowaka and Takayasu. He would lose to Takayasu, but, he beat an injured Takanosho. Or no, he lost to an injured Takanosho, but he would beat Hokuseiho. So Ryuden is another one of those guys where, he's a solid sumo wrestler, but he's not fantastic. I wouldn't bet on him. Ichikigi. His flash in the pan has come and gone, and I don't expect him to get a winning record. Even if he is fighting down, I don't expect him to get a winning record. He is strong. I like him. I like that little Keshomawashi he has. But I don't expect him to be able to compete with these guys at the level that he has shown us, as recent as it was, that 10-5. I don't expect to see anything like that again. Because even at the tournament right after that, 5-10, 7-8. So 90% of people are going to bet on Atami Fuji. I think the rest will bet on Gonoyama or Midori Fuji. And then if you bet on anybody else, you just like them. I could see Ryuden and Nishikigi getting 0 votes, honestly. Although, again, if Ryuden does fight down, that could be another winning record for him. So it might be the smart play to vote Ryuden, but you'd have to get lucky in Terunofuji staying healthy. Because you also have to consider, when the Yokozuna and the Ozeki fight down, they can't fight stablemates. So Terunofuji can't fight Atami Fuji or Midori Fuji. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh yeah, no, Ryuden's gonna fight Terunofuji at some point. So don't bet on Ryuden. What's the name of that sumo that had a good record for 2 Basho and he was a rookie? You might be thinking of Onosato or HAKUOHO. HAKUOHO is returning from injury. He will be in the 3rd division. It's always weird that East is on the left. Yeah, that it does throw me off too. Where's Shishi? He's in the 2nd division if I remember correctly. We'll look at this later. Shishi is still Judio 7, yeah. This next section is where it gets a little harder. Asanoyama was out for injury well, let me go top down. Keen Bozan, the Keen Bozer Dozer. A lot of people like him. I like him. It's cool. He has a nice name. It's fun to say Keen Bozer Dozer. It's unique to have someone from Kazakhstan. But none of that describes his sumo. What's his sumo like? He's decent. He's good. He is, again, not great yet, but he's 26 years old. He's only been in Grand Sumo for, a short while. And, looking at these stats, 11-4 from Maegashira 14, 4-11 from Maegashira 5, and then middling records from these middle ranks, I would expect another middling record from Keen Bozan. I don't know how much he will grow, and I don't know how much more growth he has left, Shonnan no Umi. Shonnan no Umi flies under a lot of radars, I think. We don't really talk about Shonnan no Umi. He's not bad, but he's in the same boat as some of these other young guys where they're good, but we haven't seen the great yet. Shonnan no Umi with 2 7-8s. Sure, his debut to 10-5 alongside HAKUOHO and alongside Gonoyama. That was an exciting July tournament. Very fun tournament right there. But after that, 2 7-8s. You can't knock a 7-8 from these middle ranks. It's difficult. Look at some of his opponents. He's losing to Abi, Kotonowaka, Takeyasu, Atami Fuji, but he's beating Midori Fuji, Onosho, Hokuseiho, Endo. He's not beating bad opponents, but he's not beating good opponents. I mean, he is beating bad opponents, but he's not beating good opponents. So I wouldn't bet on Shonnan no Umi right now. Give him maybe another year of growth. Let's see him reach that 2nd level. Same thing with Keen Bozan. Same thing with Gonoyama. I think Atami Fuji has already reached that level. And that's why, when we get down here, that's why you pick Ono Sato. But anyway, Ichi Yamamoto, I think this is his career high, right? Yeah, 11-4 Jun Yusho, which the 11-4 Jun Yusho, when the Yusho was a 13-2, is a little bit more of a formality than it is like, oh, he was in the thick of it. He was competing. Like, Ichi Yamamoto started hot, but he was never competing for it. Let's be real. It might be mean to say, but this is his career high, and he's what we call, a budget obby, a discount obby. I don't expect him to do so well here. Welcome in, Nidish. Just had his first son and it lit a fire. Oh, that's also true, Type 1, yes. He just had his first son and it lit a fire underneath him. So maybe that's the thing he needed to break through to, that 2nd gear. But until he proves it, I wouldn't put my money on him. Asanoyama. I think everyone's going to vote on Asanoyama. He still gets high praise. He still, is seen as a future Ozeki Yokozuna. And he was injured at the previous tournament. He injured his calf right before the tournament started in practice. So he took that first week off. Couldn't come back to salvage it. Maegashira 7. I'm wondering if that calf is still bothering him. Because if it's not, he's going to eat everyone alive. Asanoyama should dominate. I say should, because last time he was, lower than the Joy. He went 12-3 Jun Yusho. But, out for injury in the middle of the tournament in July. Out for injury at the start of the tournament in November. If he's injured, if he's hurting, we're not going to see that again. If he's in the clear, though, we're going to see that again. So I know a lot of people are probably going to bet on Asanoyama. Hokuseiho. We will be watching a video later, a training video where, the Yokozuna is training. He trains against Hokuseiho, And in the match, you know, Hokuseiho does his usual thing where he goes slow and steady, but the Yokozuna's impatient. He tells him, hey, speed it up. Let's fight. Come on, let's go. So I think that's the kind of kick in the ass Hokuseiho needs. He needs to go faster. He needs to rely less on his like size and rely more on his strength. He doesn't show us his strength enough. I don't think he knows how to control it just yet, and I feel like we've been saying that for a while. I'm not confident in Hokuseiho's future. I wouldn't vote on Hokuseiho here. Hiradoumi. Hiradoumi, young guy, 23 years old. You know, got to Maegashira 5 off the back of a really good series of tournaments. 10-5, 8-7, 7-8, 9-6. That's good consistency. Last time he was at Maegashira 8 or higher than that, you know, 2 losing records. Bounces back up to Maegashira 8. This doesn't spell confidence, but 23 years old, he's still gaining strength. He's still learning. Kind of the same thing as, who was it? Kind of the same thing as Shonan no Umi, where Hiradoumi kind of goes under the radar. He's not one of these Reiwa monsters like Atami Fuji, Onosato, and Hakuoho are, but he is a good young sumo wrestler. And of course, I want to see everyone reach Yokozuna potential, but similarly to like Shonan no Umi, maybe even Kin Bozan, Hiradoumi, I haven't seen great from him just yet. So he might end up someone like, you know, Endo or Hokuto Fuji or, you know, Oki no Umi, Sara no Umi, where they make it to Komusubi for a tournament or two and then fall back down. And, you know, I can't determine sumo potential, you know. I'm not there watching these sumo wrestlers, but I don't really see that from Hiradoumi. I don't see in Hiradoumi what I see in Onosato and what I see in, you know, Hakuoho. I wouldn't vote on. I kind of want to skip Maegashira 9 because I don't believe in Mitakeumi to come back. I don't believe in Meisei to come back. Just both of them are kind of in the same boat where they were good. They were, you know, at the very tippy top of the division for a little while. Like, you know, Sekiwake stayed Sekiwake while Wakataka Kage fell, but then fell out of Komusubi, 1-14. Like, how do you let this happen? And then he, you know, bounced back up to Komusubi, but then fell back down and bounced back up. Like, I don't know what Meisei is doing. I wouldn't vote for him. Mitakeumi, ever since he made it to Ozeki, he has not been the same. This is before the passing of his father. This is, you know, before making it to Ozeki. He just has not been the same. He was better as a Sekiwake than he has been since he became Ozeki. I don't know what happened to him. I don't have confidence that he will make it back up to the Sanyaku ranks. I don't believe in Mitakeumi anymore. Tamawashi, the Golden Eagle, has broken yet another record. You might have seen it in the top right corner, but now he is in the running for the most top division bouts. So he already has, he's in second place for the most consecutive bouts. He is in the top 10 for the most top division, or most consecutive top division bouts. And now he is in the top 10 for the most top division bouts. That just, you know, longevity is fantastic for Tamawashi. Good night, princess. I love you. I'll miss you. She's out visiting family in Corpus, so she's not here with me. She's in the chat, though. Tamawashi, just as recently as he won a Yusho, he also went 13-12, or 3-12 and 2-13. So, like, I love Tamawashi, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have the consistency anymore. It's obviously catching up to him, and even though, you know, 39 years young. He's still competing with guys half of his age. He's competing with guys who weren't even born when he began his sumo career. He still got it, but it's how much longer does he got it, you know? I don't know if he does still got it. He'll stick around, but I don't expect a 10+ win score. Sada no Umi across from him. Sada no Umi, another longtime veteran, 36 years old. You can always count on him to, be around, basically. He's probably long past his prime. But, that's a prime I never even saw. He performs well near the bottom of the Banzuke sometimes. Sometimes he gets 8 and 7 twice in a row. The last time he was down here, though, 11 and 4 Junyusho. So, I don't really know what Sada no Umi ticks. I wouldn't bet on him. I'm not too confident on him. I like him, again, but I wouldn't put my money on him. For this section, the smart bet is definitely Asanoyama. And as someone who is already going to be betting on Tobizaru and is also forced to bet on Takanosho, I'm going to have to take the points where I can. I'm thinking Asanoyama gets 10 wins minimum. I'm watching as many more bouts before his sumo sun sets. I hope so. I love watching him. Good night, Princess. The Midnight Sumo backup channel? Am I the backup channel? I mean, that's fine. I prefer to be the first channel. Now for this bottom section, I have to pick Takanosho because that's my fiance's favorite. But if I didn't have to pick Takanosho, everyone and their mother is going to be picking Onosato. Everyone is over the moon for Onosato. Everyone loves Onosato. Onosato is a monster. He is Nishonoseki's poster child right now. 4 tournaments from Makushita 10. Crazy. Make it to this top division. 12 and 3 playoff loss. His playoff loss was to Koto Shoho. Who Koto Shoho, despite getting those wins, I wouldn't bet on Koto Shoho, but I would totally bet on Onosato. What could happen to Onosato? You either have the HAKUOHO 11 and 4 competing for the title, or you have the Atami Fuji 4 and 11 go back down to Judio and marinate a little bit more. So I love Onosato. I would bet on Onosato. He's so cool. He's definitely got like heel vibes. You look at the slick back hair when he lowers his head a little bit, he looks up through his eyebrows. He's definitely got an evil look on his face, like that scene from Sanctuary, like Shizuuchi. But Onosato, I would bet on him, and that would be a gambling bet. Now for the rest of the guys here. I'm going to kind of go quickly through them because there's a lot of veterans. Tsurugisho, Myogiryu, Endo, Aoyama, Takarafuji. They're all veterans that they could do well here. They might not do well. Chura no Umi kind of fits that bill too, but he's coming off the back of his 9 and 6 debut. All of these guys are long-standing veterans in the sumo, in Grand Sumo. I want to say a lot of them are past their prime. I don't think we're going to see a Tokushoryu-esque Yusho from Aoyama this tournament. And I wouldn't expect it from any of the other guys I listed. Tsurugisho, Myogiryu, Endo, Takarafuji. So those guys I would immediately write off unless you really like one for some reason. I like Takarafuji. I would bet on Takarafuji. He can get you 8 wins, 7 minimum. The over-under on Takarafuji is always 7.5. It's never anything other than 7.5 for Takarafuji. Well, I will be broadcasting the Day Zero ring offering ritual in a little bit, but the Sumo Association on YouTube already did that live. This was a couple of hours ago, but I will be redoing it here on Twitch, not on YouTube, because if I were to do this video, they would definitely strike me. So, after we're done looking at the Banzuke here, definitely switch over to Twitch if you want, if you're on the YouTube side. I don't want. Let's see, who else do we have here? Oho! So Oho is in the same boat as all of these other Reiwa monsters, where he's really young, 23 years old, grandson of legendary Yokozuna Taiho, but we haven't seen the great from him. He hasn't been marinating in Judo, he's been marinating in this top division, and I haven't seen him break through to that next level yet. I want to see it happen. I don't know when it'll happen, but when it does, I'll be there. I will be excited for it, and I will love that. Takanosho. The Nobe Dog. Takanosho coming off the back of that previous tournament due to injury. And that is an injury that has been plaguing him for a little while. If I remember correctly, even when he made it up to Sekiwake, he was dealing with like a slight tear in his ACL or something like that. And he never got surgery for it, which is why he started performing worse and worse. So, coming off of that injury, he is slated to fight for day one. He is at the lowest rank he has been in a while, and the last time he was down here, he got an 8-7. So, I would expect him to do better. He's, only 29 years old. He's only a couple months younger than me. I would expect him to do better. I hope he does better. I can't confidently say he will do better than an 8-7. Let's see. Koto Shoho. He did defeat Onosato in that Yusho playoff. Does that mean he's going to bounce back and do amazing here? Similarly to, again, a lot of these Reiwa monsters. 24 years old, he's very young, but I don't know if we've already seen the great from him. Like, we saw him perform well against Onosato and Judio, and it's been a struggle for him because, again, he made it up to Maegashira 3. I remember this vividly because, we were watching the sumo here. November. After the November tournament in 2020, Chris Sumo, because he goes to the same bar that his parents run, if I remember correctly, asked his parents what they thought, and his parents said, "Oh, we would have been happy with like a 6-9 record," but he goes and gets a winning record. Then after that, he goes 2-13, and I don't know if it was in this tournament or in this tournament that he injured his leg, and he hasn't been the same since that leg injury. Like, even coming back up, 11-4 from Maegashira 13, 6-9, 2-10-3, probably dealing with an injury again. If he's healthy, if he's fully healthy, he can compete. But even as recently as September, 2 tournaments ago, he went 5-10 from Maegashira 14. So I have very little confidence that Koto Shoho will show us how great he can be, because he keeps stumbling every chance he gets. Onosho. Onosato will go 15-0. Hell yeah. I hope so. Onosho, he is at his worst rank in over a year, and the last time he was down here, it was a 10-5, but the environment's changed. But even then, going 3-12 from Maegashira 5, and he didn't even have to fight through Sanyaku ranks until the last few days, where it was like a pity match versus Wakamoto Haru. Like, Onosho has the same problem as HAKUOHO, or had rather, where they would yo-yo between Maegashira 6 and Komusubi. But I think the yo-yo string snapped for Onosho, because now he's all the way down here. I wouldn't bet on him. Tomokaze. I don't expect more from Tomokaze. I'm just happy that he's back here in the top division. 7-8 does not inspire confidence. I would hope he gets a winning record. I'm not confident he gets a winning record. Especially considering apparently he doesn't have like any feeling in that foot where he suffered that knee injury all the way back in November 2019. So I like Tomokaze. I want to see him win. He's gonna win. Bushozan. Bushozan, 28 years old. He's been up here a couple of times before, and every single time he comes up here, he has a double-digit losing record. Is he finally going to break that glass ceiling and get that winning record up here, or are we going to see him fail catastrophically again as someone that has the same style as Takakeisho, that full-bodied pushing, the head down, full push, that kind of thing? I don't think Bushozan is going to get a winning record. And finally, Shimazu Umi, 27 years old, making his debut in the top division. Kind of an unknown factor. I don't know what to expect from him, considering he has like a middling consistency in judo. You can see a lot of 8 and 7s, 9 and 6s, nothing outstanding, nothing. Well, I mean, this tournament in July was particularly bad, a 5 and 10, but I don't expect Shimazu Umi to really wow us either. Failaghetti can't hang with the big boys. Yeah, probably. So, out of everyone I mentioned, that really only leaves Ono Sato as the smart choice. Maybe Koto Shoho. You can't really make an argument for anyone else. But I have to pick Takanosho because that's my fiance's favorite. And that is who I will be. So my picks for this tournament: Kirishima, Kotonowaka, Tobizaru, Asanoyama, Takanosho. I mean, Takanosho can be, a surprise factor. I'm not going to say he's the dark horse of the whole tournament, but I think if he can get at least 9 wins from down here, that would make me very happy. I don't expect Tobizaru to get more than 9 wins, but if he got to 8, that would make me very happy. Asanoyama, I expect him to get 10 plus. Kotonowaka, I expect him to get 10 plus. Kirishima, I expect the Yusho. I expect to see a new Yokozuna in March. That is my controversial take, and I'm sticking to it. Now for the schedules for days 1 and 2. Terunofuji versus Ura, 5-1 in Terunofuji's favor. Kirishima versus Wakamoto Haru. Atami Fuji versus Hoshoryu rematch on day 1. Midori Fuji versus Takakeisho. Takakeisho has never lost. Kotonowaka versus Abi. Abi with the advantage, 6-2. Monoyama versus Daieisho. Takayasu versus Hokuto Fuji in a great rivalry match. Look at that, 13-9 in the head-to-head. Tobizaru versus Shodai. Hey! Kongo and I are going to have a good time with that one. 7-4 in favor of Shodai. Ryuden versus Nishikigi. Ryuden 7-4 in his favor. And for the first time in a long time, notice that outside of the Sanyaku matches, we have Maegashira 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5, 6 versus 6, 7 versus 7. It's great. Kinbozan versus Shonan no Umi, 4-1 in favor of the Kinbozer Dozer. Asanoyama versus Ichiyamamoto for the second time in their careers. Okuseiho never lost against Hirado Umi. Mitakeumi 10-6 against Meisei, but both of these guys would usually fight each other near the top of the Banzuke. Down here, I'm not sure if that holds the same water. Sadano Umi versus Tamawashi, another good veteran rivalry match, 11-8 in the head-to-head. Oho versus Tsurugisho. Oho leans in his favor, 5-2. Takanosho versus Myogiryu, 8-6 in favor of Takanosho, could be another good one. Shirano Umi versus Endo for the second time. Onosho, 6-1 against Koto Shoho. Yes, Kiho is out again. Enho is also out. Tomokaze versus Takada Fuji, 2-2 in the head-to-head. And then down here at the bottom, Bushozan versus Ono Sato, Shimazu Umi versus Aoyama. That's the day 1 matchups. Day 2, Terunofuji versus Wakamoto Haru. Midori Fuji versus Hoshoryu, 6-5 in favor of Midori Fuji. Does Hoshoryu start the tournament 0-2? Atami Fuji versus Takakeisho. Takakeisho 2-0 in that head-to-head. Should be another good revenge match for Atami Fuji. Takayasu versus Kirishima on day freaking 2. 7-5 in favor of Takayasu. Abi versus Daieisho, the Oshi versus Oshi, and perfectly balanced at 10-all. Kotonowaka, 1-0 against Gonoyama. TERUNOFUJI does not win against Uda. The head-to-head 12-3 in favor of Uda. Shodai 7-2 against Ryuden. Nishikigi and Tobizaru a dead heat 3-3. Ichi Yamamoto 2-0 over Shonan no Umi. Keen Bozan versus Asanoyama for the second time. Hirada Umi 2-0 over Mitake Umi. Meisei and Hokuseiho for the third time, 1-1 split. Tsurugisho 7-2 against Sada no Umi. I wouldn't expect a record like that. Tamawashi 2-1 over Oho. Shurano Umi versus Myo Giryu for the first time in their careers. Takanosho versus Endo. Takanosho another slight advantage against yet another veteran, 5-4. Tomokaze versus Onosho, 2-0, but those last matches were all the way back in 2019. Does that head-to-head even matter? Kotoshoho, 2-0 against Onosato, and both of those wins came at the previous tournament. Will Onosato get his revenge? Bujozan versus Shimazu Umi, 4-3. And then, of course, one of my favorite head-to-head matches, because look at this matchup chart. 23 wins, 9 losses. Aoyama versus Takarafuji. That's insane. These guys have fought each other more times than some sumo wrestlers even have matches. Like, that's crazy. These two could fight each other for 2 tournaments straight and have extra matches left over. And let's be real, I would watch every single one of those matches. But yes, that will put a cap on it over here on the YouTube side. It was a big decision to sit and drop for HAKUOHO getting that shoulder surgery done. Very smart decision too, because now hopefully it holds up for a long and illustrious career. That will be a matchup we see either on day 1 or day 2. HAKUOHO versus KIRYUKO. Should be an interesting one. Wakataka Kage is back at Makushita 1. So you got to tune in for some 3rd division matches, guys. And you can catch all of the action live here on my YouTube channel or my Twitch channel of the same name, LeoDickinsonSumo. Be sure to tune in for all the sumo action for the next 15 days. Once again, Kongo will only be joining us for day 1, my co-commentator, because he will be traveling for the next several months. He will not be available until May. Maybe not even until July. We'll see. But like I said, he will be hopefully attending the tournament in March. So that would be pretty cool. That'll be it on the YouTube side. We will be moving over to Twitch, or rather we are already live on Twitch. We will just be only streaming to Twitch because we're going to watch a couple of videos from the Sumo Association of some of these warm-ups. And this is my fiance's new favorite channel, the Sumo Food channel, where these guys, it's the same stable. It's Roga's stable. I forget the name of the stable. But, Futagoyama stable. There it is. But you get to follow a lot of these sumo wrestlers eating food, you know, taking naps. And there are a lot of popular names in this stable outside of Roga, such as Michael. Yes, that is a sumo wrestler's name, Michael. So, thank you very much for joining us. If you want to move over to the Twitch side, you can use this link in the chat if Nightbot wants to help me out. There it is. So if you want to keep on hanging out, feel free to join us over on the Twitch side where we will watch the ring purification ceremony. If you don't want to watch that with us, I'll leave the link in the chat as well, so you can go watch the ceremony, which for some reason they didn't do this, or they didn't stream it for the last tournament, which was pretty weird. But anyway, I say thank you too many times and I keep talking too much. So thank you very much for joining on the YouTube side. Once again, remember to get memberships. For $1 a month, you get to use emotes in the chat. And if the Sumo Association doesn't block them, you get to watch the VODs the next day. We will catch you cats later.